Hey everyone, it's Cameron from Stock Explaining. We're just going to go to take a look at the broader market, see the health of the market for the week ahead. We don't have a whole lot of events, but we'll go ahead and cover the economic calendar. I'm going to keep this video very short and clear and concise. So we're just going to go ahead and take a look at the SPY, QQQ, IWM, VIX, and Bitcoin, and maybe Ethereum and some other cryptocurrencies as well. So starting off, we don't have a whole lot of high impact news, but April 26th, keep an eye out. We do have the durable goods orders. We are forecasting 1% compared to a previous 2.2%. We also do have the consumer confidence index, and that's forecast to be 108 compared to a previous level of 107.2. We do have on April 27th pending home sales for year over year. Previous number was minus 5.4%, so that'll definitely be interesting to analyze whether we're going to get a higher or lower rate. April 28th, we do have our GDP growth rate quarter over quarter for Q1 of 2022. So our previous level was 6.9%. We're only forecasting 1.1% growth. And remember, there is talks of a potential recession in the next year or so, but we have various talking heads saying, oh, it's going to happen or it won't. So really just kind of keeping an eye out on these economic events. It can kind of help give us a better insight into future predictions. And then finally, April 29th, we have core PCE price index. So definitely that's going to be something to keep an eye out for year over year. Our previous level was 5.4%, but we're forecasting 5.3%. And then we do have the consumer sentiment index for April, and that's forecast to be 65.7 compared to a previous level of 59.4. Okay, so in terms of things to look out for, we're just going to go ahead and take a look at SPY first. So right now, I'm on the weekly time frame, and it's pretty clear that we are in a downtrend. I don't think anyone needs to deny that. But really, this week is critical because there's a few levels that we need to hold. So the big level, most important level, is going to be 410.64. If we can hold this level, then we could potentially say this is a double bottom, and bulls can kind of work our way back up slowly. Now, for bears, they went in hard last week. We had a massive rejection off this weekly 20 SMA, weekly 50 SMA, and we broke all the way through below this channel. Absolutely insane movement. Investors definitely a little weary. Traders, if they were in the right direction, they made it big. If not, they lost big. So definitely a market that is unforgiving, a market that punishes people with the slightest mistake. So, in times like this, a lot of people are taking an approach of not trading as much. I know definitely for us in stock explaining, I've been getting far less alerts just because right now this is not an environment I feel 100% comfortable trading in. And that's okay. Sometimes the best trade is no trade. Now, for long-term investment opportunities, even if there is going to be a recession in the next year, my philosophy is kind of, okay, if I can identify companies that are going to have strong growth, are recession-proof to an extent, and companies that are innovative and have great team and backing, those are companies I'm going to get behind. I'm going to throw my money at. And, I'm right now kind of in the process of just dollar cost averaging into, certain disruptive equities, and then obviously my crypto portfolio as well. But the key level to watch on SPY for this week, our absolute level of support we need to hold is going to be 410.64. So everyone mark that on your calendars. Or sorry, not calendars, mark that on your charts, 410.64. But I wouldn't be surprised if we test lower 420s this week. But remember, generally market sentiment is very bearish right now. But when we had the invasion a few weeks ago, or over a month ago now, what happened? Markets rebounded and bears got absolutely destroyed. So not saying that's going to happen again, but definitely sometimes it is good to be contrarian and, definitely take advantage of those opportunities if you see them. Now we're going to go on daily time frame. And the big news for the daily time frame was we broke through this channel. So we had this kind of channel that had formed. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and adjust this channel. Strong level of support was probably around roughly about right there. But regardless, we are testing and breaking out of this channel. So this week, it is possible that we see move lower, and watch this lower band of this channel. This level could serve as resistance. So if we're unable to break it, then it's just going to be more confirmation for bears to continue to short, and we make that push back towards 410. Now, if bulls are able to get a few green days in there, then remember we're going to have this daily 50 SMA coming up as resistance. And right now this daily 50 SMA is currently around $439. We'll call it $440. This level is going to be a strong level of resistance, because if you notice last week, we would trade entirely within this range, seemed like we were going to break out, and then completely dumped. If we are able to break above 440, all I'm really looking at is the top of this channel. But definitely bears are in the autopilot mode, and I think bulls are the ones that really need to prove it. Now, the best clues to look for when you're looking at potential reversals is going to be your hourly time frame, in my opinion. The reason why is because the hourly time frame, it's short enough to where you can get a good idea of recent price action, but also it's kind of long enough where we have some established trends now. Here's what I'm eyeing going into tomorrow. So notice we rejected this hourly 200 SMA, double topped, and then we completely broke down. We have this level, we have a clear waterfall pattern where we're just moving lower and lower and lower. If we are able to break out of this level, and by the way, we are below our Bollinger Band. So this is why I'm kind of leaning bullish for the first 2 days. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little relief rally. Then the question is going to be, is it going to continue, or is it going to push back to new lows? Right now, the way I see it, we relief rally and then move lower. But what I would look out for is we drew this trend line. If we are able to break out of it, we could see short-term recovery, because we are also outside our Bollinger Band. And historically, every time we've been outside this Bollinger Band, we do tend to recover pretty quickly. So there could be some whipsaw action in that sense. But it's entirely possible you get this hourly recovery, and we make that push back up towards about 440. Then 440 would be that level that we would need to watch and potentially see if we reject from. If we reject from it, then I'm going to go in with more confidence for puts. If we break above it, then I'm simply saying, okay, we have kind of established equilibrium. I think we're going to see more sideways action probably until mid-May, till we get our next FOMC and insights with the rate increase. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at QQQ. Very similar situation. If I go on a weekly, you can see we're testing this this weekly 100 SMA. Our MACD almost seemed like it was going to cross on a weekly, and then it rejected, never truly got there. RSI technically did make a higher low, so we still do have that. We still have that going for us. But we are testing this level, so this is going to be a key level to watch. If we close below this weekly 100 SMA, then I think it's entirely possible that we see bears make that push back probably towards this double bottom around 315. Now on the daily time frame, you can see we're actually still in this channel. So it is possible we see a little bit of movement back. We see a little bit of movement lower, but remember, SPY has been leading this market. So if SPY is green, chances are QQQ will follow. It is possible that we break below and we just continue to move lower, but it is also possible that we kind of tighten up here. We tighten up here a little bit, RSI cools off, and then we make a move in either direction. So as we mentioned, 315 is going to be that level to watch. but the support level before that is probably going to be around 317.45. That was our previous low. Now, if you look on our hourly time frame, as I mentioned before, we have quite a bit of room to go lower. 315 would still be that long-term target. Right now, for me, bulls have not shown me they are ready and that they are able to make an offensive and push the bears back. So really, for me, nothing is notable until we cross above this channel around 331. If we cross above this channel, then I will say, okay, bulls have pushed the bears into equilibrium, then we're going to get that similar sideways action. But how I'm going to play this right now is anytime we hit a resistance level, for example, if we hit this 9 EMA and I see we're going to reject on that hourly, I'm going to play puts because I still have that target of 315 in mind. But I wouldn't buy puts, in my opinion. I would not buy puts right here. I would wait for some green days, wait for the RSI to cool off because our hourly RSI is an 18, is very, very oversold, and we are below our Bollinger Bands with 2 standard deviations. Ideally, your best entry for puts, if you're going to play them, would be probably around $330 to $331. IWM weekly chart is not looking pretty. We talked about how our support level would be 195 and then 191. The next level of support is going to be 187.92. That's just our previous low. Now, before that, we do have a level of support around 191 that we're currently testing right now. If this holds, we can say we have a local double bottom and we could maybe work our way back and get some sideways movement. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another test of this weekly 100 SMA around $199 to $200. That's going to be our natural level of resistance. If we are able to break above that, then I think we can make the case that, okay, maybe we can range between 200 to 205. But if we break below that this week, then again, 187.92 is going to be your next target. And if that level breaks, then I would not be surprised if we see new lows and we test potentially this weekly 200 SMA. If this happens, many growth stocks will be absolutely hammered. So that's kind of where you have to reassess and say, okay, with these valuations like this, what is going to give me the best ROI? Which companies do I really believe in? And what opportunity can I take from it? On the daily chart, you can see we have a clear established range, like I said, between 187 and 213. We have that range, but I don't think we're going to test the upper limit. I think it's more probable we test a lower limit, but first I think we need to see a cool off with this price action. I want to see us retest this daily 50 SMA before we make that push lower. So if we could retest 200 to 201 and we don't hold that, then I think we can make that push lower. On the hourly time frame, it's a pretty similar chart. Not a whole lot to say. Clear waterfall pattern. While I am leaning bearish for basically most of the indexes and the broader market as a whole, I do think there's definitely lots of good opportunities. And I think there's opportunities to play oversold bounces. I mean, hourly RSI is at 15. Your cues for this are going to be SPY and QQQ. If you see hourly bounces underway, it's very probable IWM will follow. Again, we are also below our Bollinger Band, below our 9 EMA. If we can break above this trend line, I wouldn't be surprised if we get that recovery back up to about 196 and maybe even 199 to 200. So definitely, I think there are opportunities for everyone, bulls and bears, and also even investors. I think for investors, actually, this is probably the most ideal scenario because you can pick up companies that you truly believe in at a much cheaper price. Remember, bull markets make people money, bear markets make people rich. Okay, with the VIX, not a whole lot to say. But we have a clear break above. We had this range that we were trading between, and I had stated in previous videos that we could see a test of 30 once more. Now, the level that I'm watching is going to be this daily 50 SMA. If we can hold 25 this week, then I think we will have a nice equilibrium, and we could, depending on how the market moves, if markets move lower, then I think definitely we're going to see probably a retest of probably 33, this upper limit of this Bollinger Band. But do note that our daily VIX has officially broken out on the RSI. So remember, we were testing this level, we rejected again. Third time's a charm, we've broken through. So definitely your RSI can give you cues and into what the market might do. Also note that our daily MACD is looking to go positive. So I think it is more probable that we see a push probably up back towards 30 to 33 than seeing a move back towards 21 to 22, because notice how for how many days, almost 2 weeks now, we've kind of just been at this level and we held it very, very nicely. And we can say we made a single, double, triple, quadruple bottom essentially. This is a big one. What I've gone ahead and done is I've actually color coded the channels for you. So this descending channel, I've gone ahead and colored it red. Obviously broke through that stage 4 breakdown, and we formed a stage 1 equilibrium, and now we're in what we would consider, still I would argue is this still stage 1, because I think we're still forming a nice base. But really that test is going to, that level that we need to hold, in my view, we are actually right at it on a daily chart. And let me show you what I mean. So if I go to the weekly, you can actually see that we are right at the bottom of our channel. Historically speaking, this is the level you want to buy at, because historically we have bounced. Now, if we break below this channel, then I think we will see a test of probably around $36,000. I think that weekly 100 SMA that I've been talking about in all of my videos, I think it is very, very likely that we see this level tested. If we are able to hold this level right here at around 39,000, then I think we could make the push probably back towards about 41. 41,000 has kind of been a very difficult level to hold, but if we can manage to do that, then I don't see why we can't test 44,000 and make our way back above to the top of our channel. Now, if we do get to the top of our channel, this is kind of going to be where we need to reevaluate. Around $48,000 to $53,000 is where we need to kind of say, okay, are we going to make the next leg up higher, or is this simply just going to be another broader lower high on the weekly chart? Now, if we go on a daily, you can get a little bit more of an accurate picture in terms of short-term price action. And we can clearly see that we are not oversold just yet. We have a little bit more room to go lower. And it's entirely possible that we retest that level of support at $37,500. Approximately, that's been a level of support that we've held for quite some time, and we've held it pretty well. So it is entirely possible we see that level tested this week. If 37,500 breaks, that is when I will be a little bit concerned, and I will say, okay, I think that weekly 100 SMA is definitely going to be in play. But if we are able to hold this level, kind of maybe push sideways, then it's going to be a focus on, okay, simply reclaiming that daily 100 SMA, and then that daily 50 SMA, and then that weekly 50 SMA, and then making a push back to our daily 200 SMA around $48,000, which would coincide roughly with the top of our channel. Now, Ethereum, so this is kind of where it gets a little interesting, because you can see that we do have a possible head and shoulders forming. Now, this is a very rough drawing, but if we break below about 2,700, then I think we could be headed back towards 2,300. If we are able to hold this level and we can kind of hover around 3,100 for some time, we can look to exhaust the bears, and then maybe we get a move up and it forces shorts to cover. You get a short squeeze and you get that push back towards about $3,500 to $3,700. That will be that next level of resistance to broadly watch, 35.88. If we could break through that double top, then I think all-time highs are going to be in consideration. Overall, though, in terms of the actual charts, they aren't looking too good for Bitcoin and Ethereum in the short term. But in the long term, we know where this technology is going, we know what the applications are, and we know that the smart money is buying and is accumulating. Again, we aren't quite oversold on a daily. It is entirely possible we see a push lower. I would not be surprised if in the next few weeks we do see a test of 2,300 to 2,400. It also would not surprise me if we see a test of 3,400 to 3,500. Either probability is possible, just be prepared for them. That's really all I will say. What I can also go ahead and do for you is on the daily, we do have a parallel channel forming, similarly to how it was in Bitcoin. Everyone has their own way of drawing channels, but usually I try to be very consistent when it comes to drawing and including wicks. But if there's a pretty extreme wick, usually I won't include that. I won't start the trend from that extreme wick. I will just kind of take that as an anomaly and try to look for as many contact points as possible. I'll go ahead and fill that green for you. Perfect. So our initial next level of support on the daily time frame is probably going to be around 2,700. Again, if 2,700 does not hold, then I think 2,300 to 2,400 is in play. Now, if we are able to break this daily 20 SMA, daily 50 SMA, then I think that push to 3,400, 3,500 becomes a lot more likely. Burn proof is definitely on the bulls, but for someone who's shorting this, I would be very, very careful. Yes, there is room to go lower. Is the bottom in? I don't know, but I'm a hell of a lot more bullish on this in the long term. So this is something that I would definitely kind of tread cautiously with, because if there is an event where you get those massive candles, you will get a short squeeze and you will get wrecked. Also interesting to note, daily RSI is attempting to cross. If it can cross and go positive, I think that will definitely be a big boost for the bulls. Let's also go ahead and take a look at Solana. So remember how in the last video I mentioned that Solana is kind of using this descending channel that I broke out of. The top level, we flipped from resistance into support. We are kind of just holding that level. We are still pinned below our weekly 9 EMA and weekly 50 SMA. I want to see us back above that weekly 50 SMA. If we can get that, I think a test of probably 145 is doable again. If we reject that level, then I think a push probably towards 80s, maybe back to 75 is possible. If it is, I'm going to keep buying. This is definitely one of my long-term conviction plays, and I think is incredibly undervalued. Now, on a daily time frame, not as oversold, which means there is room to go lower. Definitely, I think 88 to 85 is a level that I'm going to be watching. If that level breaks, then I think probably 75 is going to be the next level we test, because that was our previous low, previous level of support. Now let's also go ahead and take a look at Luna, because I think stablecoin plays have also been all the rage. So Luna's relative strength, what's interesting is in the last few months when we've had kind of this downtrend in the market, Luna was able to put in a new all-time high, which I think is not only impressive, but it's incredible. It shows how resilient stablecoin plays are and how strong this ecosystem really is. So definitely kudos to Terra Labs and Do Kwon and the entire team. Now, as you know, they are buying up Bitcoin like crazy. They're going to be backing UST with Bitcoin as well. So definitely an interesting and exciting development to see. Now, how is this going to translate for the price? Nothing is inherently without risk. There's always that risk of UST becoming unpegged to the US dollar. That would be a very, very bad situation, especially considering that US Terra is now the third largest stable coin by market capitalization. Is that risk high? No, but it is definitely something that you need to be aware of with these algorithmically backed stablecoins. Now, in terms of our weekly chart, we are holding this 9 EMA, and the last time we broke above it was actually February 21st. We were able to hold well above it. We got pretty over. We were able to make a new all-time high, but something that is a little worrisome to some. Worrisome to some. It's a little bit of a difficult sentence to say. Is we do have on our RSI a descending RSI making lower highs while price is making a higher low. Technically speaking, this is a bearish divergence, which indicates a big move lower could come. Not saying it will happen, but with these divergences, we always have to keep an eye out for them. Now, if Luna is unable to hold this weekly 9 EMA, then our next level of support is naturally going to be around our weekly 20 SMA. If that level does not hold, if 80 to 75 does not hold, I think it is entirely possible we see a retest of probably $45 to $50. However, if we are able to hold this 9 EMA, then I think the chance that we make a move back probably towards 105 and then 119, I think that is definitely on the cards. So this is going to be an important week for Luna. So I hope you enjoyed this brief. I hope you got some valuable knowledge from it. Thank you all for being in the Stocksplaining Discord. I really appreciate you all. I know it hasn't been the easiest time trading. I appreciate everyone being so patient and really looking out for the best for this community. Thank you to each and every one of you, and I hope we have a great week. Take care and be well. I'll see you all tomorrow morning.